right, dude, we're back in the shop. Today is a nice sunny Saturday. Just gave the old Laguna Seca M3 a wash. Gonna lift it up. I gotta measure some stuff for the FDF boys anyways, just to check some stuff on the rear for some measurements for some other stuff we're dabbling with. So I thought we might as well do a build breakdown on this bad boy. This is probably one of my most known car. This is what most people know me for, I feel. I used to have a gray E46 before this, and I picked this car up as the car was getting scrapped, subframe was falling out of it. It's got like 370,000 kilometers on it, so really high mileage chassis. This is a rare color for people who are really into E46 M3s. It's one of the coolest colors. It honestly doesn't do justice in camera. In person, it looks a little different. It's a really cool color, but I picked this up, got all the interior pieces. It's got a nice cinnamon leather interior in it, and I took my whole 1JZ VVTi setup and I put it into this car, along with a bunch of new footwork in it. It's got a pretty cool setup on it. So we're gonna end up pulling it forward, and we'll pop the hood and go through all the custom stuff in the engine bay, talk about some of the footwork in terms of coilover setup, suspension, bushings on it, because this thing is fully loaded. Got a lot of trick pieces on it, and then we'll also go over the interior. It's a nice mix, I feel, of like track car and street car. We got all the amenities still other than AC. We don't have AC, but we got heated seats for the passenger. We got some nice heat going on in there. I tried to tuck the hydro clean into the dash, and it's got a nice dash display, and a lot of the functions on the factory cluster do work, but I've always wanted a dash with the cool shift lights and stuff. It's pretty sick. Dashes are cool. Cool dashes are cool. But yeah, shy of that, we'll pull it forward, start her up, and take a look over everything. Here, before we put it on the hoist, I feel, kind of just go over a couple of pieces in it. Really simple setup, full interior. I've done the full gutted car thing where you got no carpet, no nothing. It is cool, but a little older now. When you go and get ice cream and you just go for some, I like to drive this to a lot of the track days that I do. So drive with the track, rip around on it, and then drive home after. It's kind of comfy. It's comfy enough. Obviously, every single bushing on it is solid. It's got true coilovers on it. It's got a lot of race car stuff going on, but I tried to get a nice mix of it. So right now we just have cheaper Bride in it. This one's a little tighter fitting. I got my other OG Bride and my Sim over there so it can fit all the buddies a little easier. Some buddies still a little tighter than others, but I'm a tiny guy, I feel. They're all made for like race seats, other than like Corbeau's, are all made for like a 32 waist, so you got to be a little slender. But yeah, we'll pop open the ranch in here, dude, and we'll kind of go over the interior a little bit. Yeah, seat, probably gonna put my other seat back in soon, get some new brackets. FDF's whipping up some brackets. We got that cinnamon interior with the black cube trim, and it's a fully complete interior. And I, again, just tried to keep it as clean and simple as possible. Everything works, turn signals, headlights. We got all the creature comforts. Hydro's really tucked into the frame there, and that has its own individual set of Wilwoods, which we'll see when you lift it up there. So it's got dual calipers on it. So I just tried to keep it all tucked in and not cut a bunch of the interior up to make it all fit. Gauges that are like my main gauges that I use, or like my air fuel ratio and my boost gauge, are just kind of tucked in the center console down there. And then I have my main cluster, which then again has all my info for my Link ECU that just feeds into that. So that was the gauge setup I had before. I just kept it in it, and then I put the cluster in this, which has like all my stuff is in the cluster. I don't even really need to look at those. So shy of that, simple. Keep it simple. Interior is just clean, regular, comfy, easy to fit. The dog in the back, but I don't really, because it's leather. She's got claws. It'll wreck the leather. Yeah, it's really simple. The interior is super simple. Just really nice, clean factory BMW pieces. Anything you want to add, man? Any questions on anything?
Could you fire up the dash for them?
Yeah, of course.
To see?
100%. Keys in my pocket because it beeps. Wait, I got my fire extinguisher back there too. Those are sweet. Fuck Kyle, man. And then yeah, I have a couple different pages that you can go through on it. You can record lap times. So it's cool. I set this all up on the computer, so that's how I put the fuck Kyle in there. Cause fuck Kyle, man.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, you can program it all. And same with switches. Like everything is really simple and clean. It's all tucked in the ashtray. We've got the push button start in where the cigarette lighter was. This is my fan. I got some, hear that thing? The thing's about to take off, dude. We got some serious derail fans in there. And then we have my high boost switch, and then like an anti-lag switch, which is just like just a different map. This just pretty much engages different maps that are tunable in my Link ECU. So this is a wastegate map. So I have an electronic boost controller. I have my base map, which you were asking before, how much power does it make? Makes like just under 5 on like that 27 PSI on pump gas, which is a little spicy for pump gas. I usually run it at like, you can see on my here, this is my boost gauge. It's on some little Scotch tape. 21 was the last PSI was last highest recorded boost I was ripping at. So 21 pounds probably makes like 420. Nice, something like that. Yeah, super simple. Little trick features. We got little secret switches and compartments kind of hidden around here. Again, tried to keep it like very stock compared to like the wagon and stuff, which is like fully stripped interior. Same with this dash display. You can kind of go through the pages on it. Cool little, I like gadgets, man. You like gadgets?
I love gadgets, dude.
Inspector Gadget, man.
Yeah.
Go Gadget Boost, man.
Right on.
Go Gadget Flames. Yeah, dude. Other than that, let's we'll pull her forward and we'll yank the bumper off and get this thing up on the hoist.
Well, that was fast.
Yeah, because I've already had it on. I didn't like fully fasten it on. Bam, so we pulled her forward, popped open the ranch so you can see where the horses are at, man. And yeah, we just got to jack it up really high to get it on the hoist. So before we do that, make it look all weird, might as well get some shots of the engine bay, go over some stuff. I highly modified this car because I didn't want to raise it. So I just kind of cut out all the factory metal that was in my way. Obviously not the smartest thing to do, I guess. But again, this was a scrap car. So it was mine to kind of do what I pleased with, and I do what I want, man. I put a Toyota engine in it. Again, this setup was in my gray car, so the engine mounts and everything. E46 M3 is very similar to the other generations of E46, so I just had my, just kind of like this, you know? We got stuff on the shelf. We got stuff shelved, so I had my whole E46 package shelved, ready to go, and I was like, I'll just buy another E46 and toss it all in, and then it snowballed. But in general, a lot of custom stuff to make this fit in here. Custom engine mounts, reusing the factory OEM rubber pucks, so when you're inside, it's very smooth. I use all the factory engine mounts. There's no solid engine mounts. So in terms of drivetrain, I don't feel like the transmission in the car, whereas as soon as you go solid tranny mounts, if you've done it, you're just like rattling your teeth in the car. So it's really smooth in that sense. All the suspension bushings are solid, so it's very direct and responsive. The car feels very raw. I love driving this car. But yeah, it's just stuff made to custom fit everything in here. We got a big NASCAR kind of style, all-star performance dual pass radiator. So this has the inlets and outlets on the same side, and there's a plate welded in it. Then I kind of remade my cooling setup to have like a swirl pot going on it. So we have the highest point here into the swirl pot that I made. It's constantly taking the high points of the engine, and gravity is sucking it into the lower hose. So that's just to get kind of some aeration out of the cooling system, because that's what happens with this thing. Lives on limiter majority of the time. Like the manifold is just glowing red after I do a couple two nice burner lap sessions on it. Gets hot, stops me from my ECU. I have fail-safe set in it, so as soon as it gets to a certain temperature, it just cuts all my boost control. So it's just like blah, 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 blah. It stops me from from hurting it, which is good. It saved it, which is really good. But the amount of heat that this thing puts out when you're on the wick, it's definitely something you need to manage. It's just what happens when you have these big single turbochargers on an inline six, and you start pushing the power limits. Heat management is super key, so I Cerakote everything. I gotta refresh all this stuff up. It's been a couple years, but you can see how well the Cerakote holds up. This thing literally glows red. I haven't recoated this in like 3-4 years, so you get a little bit on it, but it lasts really good. But yeah, dude, lots of custom bits to make it all work. Again, we kind of went over the horsepower. It makes like 420, 480-ish, depending on how much I have it wicked up. Custom oil cooler core that I made with the vibrant cores, same with the intercooler core. This was all stuff that was in my red, my gray E46. It used to be red and then it was gray. So again, I took all this stuff and I just put it in this car, bought base model halogen headlights and put orange amber corners on it. So they're all like base model M3 parts, not even base model E46 parts on an M3. I love that. I think it looks sick, but it's not everyone's cup of tea. But yeah, dude, again, any questions about it, just let me know. If you guys have any questions, let me know. This is my pride and joy. I know every little nut and bolt extension, had this thing in and out too many times, too many times to count, but we're good at it. We kind of know what's going on. Yeah, dude, so we're underneath the chassis. She's pretty rough under here, but she's done me good. We got my nice titanium axle back set up on here, nice little bash bar. Like there's a rear bumper I made so that I can jack it up from the rear, so it's easy to change the tires at the track. Helps a lot because you can tell it's super, like, in order to get anything under the sides, you have to take the front bumper off and jack up the front, just because it's so low, you got to take a bunch of shit off. Rear subframe, it's all E46 M3 stuff. I can grab a light and we can shine it in here if we can't pick up everything.
No, it's picking up pretty well.
We have solid subframe bushings, and I've reinforced the whole chassis, so there's plates welded onto the chassis, and then those are all cleaned up. The subframe, there's no bushing on top, so I've raised it all the way up to get a better axle angle, because you can already see axle is on a severe angle. My poor VSKFs that have been around for many years have seen lots of Shannonville dirt drops and stuff, so they got a couple wheel weights on. And for the rear setup, we have Part Shop Max coilovers, which is a true coilover setup, and then when we go into the trunk, you'll see I've made a whole cross member that ties in the two strut towers, so it reinforces the chassis, because these cars from factory have a spring and a bucket. So the spring normally sits here, and this upper control arm holds the spring in it. So just a different style that people go with. A lot of people hate it, a lot of people love it. The car handles amazing. It drives really, for what it is, like, it's stupid low and it doesn't work that good, but it works good for what it is, and I like being cool, and I think it's cool, so that's all that matters. I like it. So in terms of that, it's pretty simple, dude. All of the bushings on the back have been replaced with solid bushings, so if you look at this here, these all used to be like a rubber bushing, so I've taken out every single rubber bushing on this M3 trailing arm, and I've welded in a uniball, and they have these spacers. So in terms of all of the suspension, it's all solid metal uniballs everywhere. So it's very direct. Same with the subframe, all solid mounted bushings.
So you kind of just lose a bit of that like creature comfort for more direct feeling suspension.
No, because the engine, I feel it drives really good still, because the coilovers are valved very well for how low it sits, so they're not sitting on the bump stops. Like, that's where you actually have a stop in the coilover. So my man Christoph, he's coming over later today. He's big suspension guru. That's what you kind of do, is you take off this. You have the whole wheel assembly, because as you can see when this is on the ground mat, it's pretty much tucking the rim. And then in the videos that I share, and I'll send you a couple photos, you can see this thing literally just squats back. Like, this thing grips and goes for the same like that little Corolla. It's just when you set up the suspension dynamics, it just grips and goes. So this thing actually squats back, and you can feel it like power sliding forward. It's a really sick, grippy car. So no matter how bad I can design suspension dynamics and make it horrible and not work well, the BMW stuff is so good that it still actually grips up despite me ruining everything. So it's like, it works really good, dude.
I like that.
Same with this trailing arm bushing here. You can see there's just rubber and shit. Normally I pressure wash underneath the chassis. Haven't done that yet. We just cleaned the outside. You can see that there's same thing. This is an aftermarket, it's called a rear trailing arm bushing. So same thing. It's the sleeve that's put in and has its own little bearings. There's a bunch of offset Heim joints all on these arms up here that correct my toe gain. So this tire, actually, I have really good tire wear on this car, because traditionally when you go super low like that 240 I have out there with the big wheels, you end up introducing a lot of camber and not ideal toe characteristics, so you get a really bad tire contact patch. You can see just the dirt on this, right? Like, it has a very upward, I almost have like a positive camber in, so when it does go down, it cambers out, and I get a better contact patch. So it's really grippy because it's set up well in the rear, even though I've lowered it, made it horrible. Other than that, everything's solid, cool parts. Part Shop Max, those guys are awesome. They make some quality parts. These were some of the very first parts when they were developing this kit for the E46 chassis. I was going back and forth with them a lot. I was one of the first guys to start putting this stuff into a chassis and working with them. So we changed some of the characteristics of the coilovers with like little helper springs, changed the top hats because I was like, no, I want it lower, but I still want it to work good. So they're really good with that. We'll move forward after the diff, actually, might as well explain that. Stock E46 M3 diff, it's like a 365, 364 ratio. I still use the factory LSD, so this isn't a welded diff. This is still an LSD diff, so it's really good on the street still. It's like you don't even notice until you give it the loud pedal and then it starts to get down and dirty. But other than that, that's pretty much the whole rear end. The fuel pot, that swirl pot that we'll kind of show you up there, that's where it comes down there, Matt. I don't know if the camera can sneak those in there a little bit. They're just bulkheads that sit up into the chassis and they wrap into the tank utilizing the factory fuel pumps. Factory fuel pump feeds my swirl pot. My swirl pot is now my main connection all the way up to the fuel pump. We have the factory metal fuel lines run along here into the factory fuel filter, goes up to the fuel rail. So I keep a lot of the factory components to make stuff easier. There's a lot of custom stuff, but then there's also a lot of OEM components. Transmission, I just changed this out last year. Now it has an adapter plate to the factory BMW transmission. For 8 years, I used an R154, which is the factory 5-speed transmission that came with this. That's what's in the, I got a couple old ones that are dead in the corner there. It finally chewed out its gears, so then I was like, okay, I had to steal parts from my RX-7 that I had, took the adapter plate and put this ZF on it. So now the gearing's a lot better. Before I used to call it the highway stars just because the gear was so long, like second and third gear, and I had to do a lot of clutch work to like keep it going, which you'll see in the videos that I clip in, just to keep it spun up. And it wasn't because of the turbo size. It's got a pretty small Borg Warner S200. It's only like a 63 mil. It spools up super quick. It was the gearing. So now with this factory BMW gearing, with that rear end, third, fourth gear shredders are like no problem. So now the wheel speed is like ridiculous. Thing is a smoke show now. So I do like this transmission in comparison. Got a nice spec clutch on there, hold the power for it. The old transmission, I had a really aggressive OS Geiken clutch, which I can show you on the shelf there. It's a triple plate, like a twin disc, multiple plate clutch, and they make this unique ching sound when you start it. That's a good sound, dude. Guys who know. Like, twin plates sound pretty sick. The Corolla makes it. It's got an OS Geiken twin plate, so it goes ching. And we got all of our water, shrapnel. This thing's dirty. I need to actually give it a nice underbody wash. Again, made this intercooler years ago, made this radiator years ago. This is all stuff out of that old swap. In terms of front suspension, we got no modifications. It's completely stock. It's a stock M3 knuckle, the Park Shop Max coilover, stock control arm, stock bushings. In terms of angle, E46s have a lot of angle to begin with. It's definitely not like a lackluster, it's not lacking in the angle department. Angle kits definitely do make the cars a little better, make them a little more drivable, but then you get like the crazy stance. Like no matter what, you're going to move this coilover top hat and bring it further out in the car to get a smoother sweep angle on it. It's just kind of, in general, when you go with an angle kit, you're pretty much moving everything out in the car, correcting the geometry of the strut and tie rods and other components to make them work now at these high angle points. I don't know the exact numbers, Josiah would be like, this is 62 degrees and our kit does 73, 69 is cooler, but whatever. This is 69 degrees and ours does 79, whatever. I've never found that an issue with this car, and my reasoning with it is, again, I'm a big looks guy. I wanted my wheels and my fender, so the stock M3 control arms worked good in my application. Stock M3 steering rack. They got a lot of different steering racks for these cars. Actually, I think this is a ZHP one. This is a gold tag. I'm sure some nerdy guy would be able to tell me, but there's green tags, purple tags, gold tags. The gold and the purple are like the desirable ones. That's physical, the amount of ratio it takes from your wheel to turn this. That number is less for the better racks. Again, people who are nerdier know way more than me. But yeah, dude, super simple. Fans, wiring, JZs, M3s. Yeah, this car's got a lot of history to it. I love this car. It'd be hard to get rid of this car. End up parting it out or something like that. It's not, when you get into these cars, they're super old that I've done like so much botchery, whatever. So much custom stuff to it.
Massaging.
Massaging, yeah, I like that. Again, and it's like my car, it's very individual to me, so it's gonna stick around for a while. I do want to revamp it. We got a lot of goodies here this year, so we're probably gonna put a bunch of titanium in the engine bay, freshen it up. The exhaust, it hits the ground everywhere, so it's...
Yeah, let's talk about that, Mike.
I could hit it. I could replace this, but...
And who did the exhaust? You?
This idiot right here.
This guy here.
Yeah, and it's because the car is so low. Like, look at my frame rails, dude. You know, it's like... This thing, when I drive it on the road, it just, road crown, it's just like... scraping road crown. It's a good feeling. The gas tank scrapes, bro. Like, look.
That's what you want, is your gas tank
That's what you need. So yeah, it's really low. So it just kind of is what it is. Sucks to roll hard, man.
Sucks to roll hard.
Sucks to roll hard. I like looking cool. I gotta tighten my wastegate, man. You'll get that.
You get that on those bigger jobs.
Yeah, dude. You gotta bolt. That's what we got it up. Man. You gotta bolt check it. Get ready for the season. I gotta readjust because I had to put a new wastegate on it. So I do have my nice. That's why it's running that 20 pounds right now. I do have my nice stainless braided. You can see it's all heat wrapped in there around the downpipe lines for the electronic boost controller. End of the season last year, I had a wastegate failure. It's just up on the shelf over there. So my man Jeff just linked me a build. He was working on our buddy James's truck. He's like, I'm just gonna steal James's wastegate and give it to you. All right. Nice. And then he pretty much brought it to me and delivered. So.
All right, so anyone who stuck around to the end of the video here, Mike's gonna remember to send me some sick footage of this thing.
I'm gonna put on a sticky note right now.
For watching to the end of the video, you're gonna see some cool content with this. I mean, obviously later on down the road when it's on the road, we'll be doing some stuff.
Yeah, we'll go do some pulls. We're gonna do some lots of track days lined up. We're pretty much into April now, and it's pretty much full go time. I've been doing a bunch of stuff on the wagon at the FDF race shop with those guys. We changed all the coolant hard lines and stuff, so lots of cool race car content coming up, and we'll actually be doing some track days and shredding some rubber, ripping some back roads, having some fun. So if you like any of that stuff, if you're boats too, you gotta like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned with us, and just keep hitting us with your inputs, because it just helps everything. The more you guys engage with us, the more I engage with you, the more YouTube pumps it.
Except for the dude telling us not to put a V6 in a...
No, I like that stuff. Like I love when people make a comment with not a whole lot of knowledge. It's like, I'm here to teach, man.
You're gonna get learned today.
And I'm here to get learned too.
Yeah.
Like, if you can learn me some stuff, let's go, man. I want to get learned. But V6s and inline sixes are very different things.
Right on.
You got to use these bad boys. Awesome. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.